Usman versus Edwards Part 3 is finally happening. And in celebration of this weekend's fight, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after they place their first $5 wager. Wondering how to use $200 in bonus bets? Try same fight parlays, where you can combine multiple bets on the same fight into one parlay for a shot at even more action. If mobile sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy, where they offer cash prize contests for nearly every sport. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. New customers, just click on the link below to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Remember, use the promo code Sonnen and bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code Sonnen only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, Mo, big pay-per-view this weekend. We're going to cap it off with the welterweight title match trilogy, right? We're going to finally run this one back with Usman versus Edwards. But as we take a look at the whole main card, I was hoping you and I could just go back and forth and maybe break this thing down.
All right, let's do it. I believe the first fight on the card is Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze.
Vettori is one of the guys that I keep a very close eye on. I like Vettori's attitude. And Mo, if I can disclose this, but when I used to train at the Rain Training Center, Mark Lunier's gym, Vettori was in there. And I was kind of towards the end of my career. And Marvin was the young kid that had that look in his eye. He was in there. He was kind of in awe of some of the other guys because he dreamed about switching places. He had been a bouncer. He was struggling. Minimum wage jobs, having to work nights, that he came into the gym, he never missed practice, he was always tired, and I just saw that. I saw that sacrifice, very common in MMA gyms, but I saw it myself with Marvin, and as soon as Marvin got an opportunity, Mo, he really did maximize it. If you're a member of the media, and you reach out to him in any fashion, he will get back to you. If you have a show and you want to put him on it, he will get back to you. If you have a show and you need a quote from him, he will get back to you. And a lot of these guys, Mo, they get too cool for school, right? They start making main events or title fights or even main card. All of a sudden, you can't get a hold of them anymore. They're too cool. They got these other guys. They got other people. But Marvin was just one of these guys, at least for me, that stayed very true to his roots. And I bring that up as part of my analysis because now you're talking about loyalty. You're talking about loyalty. You're talking about why this matters. And you're talking about remembering where you came from. And guys like that generally are the ones that can make it all the way to a number one contendership and a title fight like Marvin did, fall, but come back. So many times a guy fights for a title, Mo, and we never see him win again. We never see him return to that spot. He read what they were saying about him, that he was the next best thing. And they just fall apart. There was this thing done on GSP and everybody that George had beaten. But once George beats you, you never are a top guy again. And I just bring for you that somebody like Marvin that is loyal, that stays at the same gym, that surrounds himself with the same people, that keeps his eye on the same prize. Those are the guys that are hungry, and I think it serves Marvin well, and I think it's going to serve him well in this fight.
Whoa. You said a whole bunch of good stuff, but, bro, you're wrong on this one. Roman Dolidze is the real deal.
Really?
Yes. Have you watched his last few fights? He's been out there stopping boys.
I thought he got on a roll. I didn't chalk up to good skills. I thought he was on a roll.
He's on a roll. He's a great grappler, heavy-handed. He is huge, massive for the weight class. And he's confident. Did you watch the Jack Hermanson fight? I
did. I watched the fight. I know the fight very well.
Okay, so what happened to him?
Well, he's got the heavy hands. I agree with that. If you can't go out and out-wrestle him, and that is a problem. I mean, I will admit that Vettori had that very problem with Adesanya. If the wrestling didn't work, now you're stuck on your feet. But I don't know. I don't think Roman's as crafty as Izzy, just for example. I think he just hits hard.
Well, no. That's the truth. Standing, yes. But on the ground, he's a whole different animal. If you watch when he fought Jack Hermanson, he swept him into a calf slicer, took his back, and pounded him out. Man, on the ground, he's something serious. He's very offensive. He goes for broke. Off his back, he's attacking. On top, he is attacking. Man, he's very offensive. He goes for it.
Mo, my final question to you, I mean, you've made it very clear who you're picking. My final question to you, does he finish it? Do you believe that Roman not only beats him, he stops him?
I think he stops him. Like three. We're talking about 3 stoppages in a row right now. I think he's going to get his 4th one. I think he's shooting for a fight versus Chimaev.
All right, agree to disagree, but that's a big one, particularly with the prop bets. The way you set that up, man, that's an exciting one if somebody's got the balls. That somebody ain't me, but I'm listening to you.
The next fight is Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill.
Mo, I tried to follow these girls. I really did. And I know them both, and I've seen both of their matches, but as they made their way from the undercard to the main card, and they finally found each other, I must admit for you, I'm not the biggest expert. Now, I do remember some stuff about O'Neill. I mean, the way O'Neill came out in some of the interviews that she did, O'Neill had used some colorful hand language, but she took some extra scrutiny because we've seen that before, but only with the males. We hadn't seen a female that quite came out this rough. I thought it was fun. She spent some time at Randy Couture's gym there in Vegas, so I had some insiders that could kind of see where she was going, and she's got a lot of tenacity. I got to use that word because I can't say she's a great wrestler. I can't say she's a great jits. I can't say she's a great striker. She's just fine at all of them. But she appears to be someone that really wants to grow. And then as you carry it over to Maia, Maia's a bit of a specialist, particularly on the ground. You're talking about you're going to see an armbar or you're going to see a guillotine choke. It seems like it's a little bit more straightforward. I think that Maia is better with positions. I think she's better at establishing a position. And I think if this fight goes long, as I predict that it will, that Maia's going to gain favor with the judges. So ultimately, I'm picking Maia by decision.
I agree with you on that one. Everything you said is on point. I'm rolling with Maia because, Invicta, I used to work for Invicta, and she's an Invicta alumnus. So the women that come from Invicta are very battle-tested. They're prepared to battle. So that's why I'm picking Jennifer Maia.
By the way, Mo, you used to work for Invicta, an all-girls organization. What did you do over there?
Oh, I was doing commentary.
Oh, very cool.
Your boy was doing commentary.
Sure. I think I knew that, actually. I try to support Shannon, whatever she does, so she kind of came through the smaller scenes like myself. We're at Strikeforce together, but I didn't know that. Good for you, buddy. But not anymore. What, they told you, here's your hat, what's your hurry?
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, hey, we can't afford you the budget, and we're going in a different direction, so they went that direction. But you know what? I still support them, and I watch their fights.
No, it sounds like it. You're the one guy that they could fire that actually didn't burn a bridge. It sounds like they did it politely. Here we are discussing them.
It is what it is, man,
All right, Kane, what do we got next?
Okay, Gunnar Nelson versus Brian Barberena.
Can I go first? Because I got to give disclosures, right, when you think that you're close with a guy or something. But I used to have to do this when you were fighting. I would always have to come in and go, no, I must disclose. It was a very good friend of mine. Brian Barberena named his son Chael. Now, I've never met Brian Barberena, but he named his son Chael. Like this is my guy. I'm always going to be pulling for Barberena, and I'll tell you a couple of things about him because he is dog tough. He came on my radar. I was out in Brazil doing an Ultimate Fighter Brazil 3. Me and Vanderlei. I met this guy, though. His name was Warley Alves. And I told Craig Brassari, Dana's right-hand man, I told Dana himself back then in 2014, this guy is going to be your champion. And at that time, it was Johnny Hendricks and it was Chris Weidman. They said, well, where's he going to fight, Johnny Hendricks or Weidman? I said, he'll beat either one of them. And I said, you don't have to tell him first. Put him on a scale right now, walk him out there, bring either one of those guys, and he'll beat him. But I believed this. This guy was something special, and he was having this special pocket of his life, and Barberena beat him. Barberena was completely unknown. Warley's the Ultimate Fighter winner, and that does huge ratings over Brazil, so you bring him in, and Barberena stood up to him more than anything. He did not back down. He didn't get tired. And the more and more I started watching Barberena, now here we are 5 years later, 6 years later, but it's the same thing where you see the heart that was on display against Robbie Lawler. I mean, he stopped Robbie Lawler on their feet. It's pretty uncommon to stop Robbie. It's really uncommon to stop him while you're still standing up, but he was doing so much damage. He was going to the body, and the referee was able to assess that. He'd come back over here. He'd go to the body, then he'd come back upstairs. He did so much damage to the former champion. They had to step in and wave it off on their feet, but that's how Barberena fights. It's the guy, a true tough guy. A true tough guy, Mo, will go hard the whole time no matter what's happening. That's what a tough guy does. Barberena is a true tough guy.
Okay, so I agree with what you said. I agree with you. But for this one, I'm picking skills to pay the bills. I believe Gunnar Nelson will stick and move a little bit, get the takedown. Once he gets the takedown, he'll keep him on his back for the rest of that period. If not, get a submission. But I think that even on top, he will do some damage. Brian, he's there to get hit, and he's also there to get taken down. Look for Gunnar Nelson to do both. I got him by decision.
Mo, I hear everything you say. If I could just offer one thing on Gunnar, because I am most certainly a believer, but Mo, Gunnar came in a little hotter than he remained. I mean, Gunnar Nelson did come in with a skill set that we'd never seen. We'd never seen anybody with that karate stance that relaxed. We never saw somebody go to the ground with their face expressionless. I mean, he makes Fedor look animated. We were getting cosigns, right? Like Conor McGregor is co-signing, hey, this guy's really good. And we're starting to hear from some other Irish fighters. Then Gunnar Nelson shares a room with George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre comes out the other door going, that's the best welterweight I've felt in some time. You start to hear these things, but I feel as though, Mo, he marked out for his own gimmick. I feel as though I've seen him in great trouble before and stay completely calm. I've seen him getting pounded out to where he's got to move. He's got to do something, and he's staying completely calm. He's staying calm as the referee breaks him apart. There's times in this sport where you need urgency. And I do think that Gunnar's something special. I really do. I just think when the blueprint came out on him, that Barberena was able to look at it, say where he's got to be careful, and a lot of that has to do with the ground. Say where he's got to be careful, protect himself, do it for up to 3 rounds. I like my pick. I'm staying with Barberena.
All right, hey, keep your pick. But I think Gunnar's going to come out and show you something a little more vicious this time. He's fighting at home, in front of his people. I think it's time for him to showcase these mean skills and put him away. I don't think he'll put him away, but I think he'll come close to it a few times.
All right,
this is the one that a lot of people have been talking about. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Who do you got?
Okay. I think that when you're breaking these things down, you're doing it for the audience, right? I don't think it's just you and I's opinion. I think if we're able to observe somebody else's opinion, such as that of the UFC, sometimes the UFC makes it clear who they hope is going to win. It's a mistake. They don't do it on purpose. They just have certain tells. And the UFC, by not announcing a number 1 contenders match, they've got Charles Oliveira versus Benny DeRush, but they have not said that's a number 1 contenders match. You've got Islam Makhachev, who's sitting waiting on the shelf, and all Dana said about him is that Volkanovski wins his next one, and Islam does. He'll put them back together. So wait a minute. We need a job for Islam today. And the fact that they have not given Islam a job tells me that they're giving a real good look at a fight. Now, why do I think it's this one? Because I don't believe this is true for Justin Gaethje. I do not believe, Mo, that we're in a semifinal, if you will, and whoever emerges goes on to the championship. I think it's a one-sided deal. It's only for Fiziev. It's going to come after the fact, but I feel as though the UFC has done some tells. And I believe those tells are we're keeping this one open and we're keeping an eye on it, and we're not going to name it ahead of time because it's not good for the goose and good for the gander. It's only good for our new parity with Fiziev. We're going to see if Fiziev can get it done. The UFC thinks Fiziev is going to win. That's what I think. They want him to win. That's what I think. And you know what, Mo? I'm taking Justin Gaethje.
Me too. I think that Gaethje's pressure, some good calf kicks, leg kicks, and he could keep consistent, educated pressure behind that jab. I think he can get the job done.
You know, Mo, I had a moment one time with Justin Gaethje. I'm in a bathroom. Fighter MMA Awards. I'm hosting the show. I'm in my tuxedo. He comes in. He's dressed very nicely. He's up for a nomination. I'm passing him in the bathroom. He stops me. And I used to be the announcer for World Series of Fighting, now known as the PFL, but World Series of Fighting back when Gaethje was their champion. He stops me and he says, hey, you remember the World Series of Fighting days? I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, you were announcing. I was just coming through. And I said, yeah. And I'm standing there, I'm waiting for him to say, I appreciated it. I loved the work you did. You know what he says to me? He goes, yeah, I remember that too. I finished drying my hands. I walked out the door, but he tried to have a moment with me. He considered having like a special moment with me. He just forgot his words.
Well, you know what? I think Gaethje's going to come with some pressure, full steam ahead, find behind the stiff jab. You'll see him drop those nasty leg kicks, and I think he'll throw more body shots.
Mo, when I look at Bobby Green as the common opponent, when I look at Bobby Green, what Gaethje versus Bobby would look like versus Fiziev versus... I mean, you're never going to convince me that Bobby Green didn't beat Fiziev. I realize he lost the decision. I was there live in Texas. He won that fight. And Bobby certainly is something special, but I do feel that Justin Gaethje deserves the credit that we give him, which is he is one step above. This is a former number 1 contender, but this is also a former champion of the world. People forget he's the one that stopped Ferguson's streak. And not only did he stop it for every single minute of that fight. I'm taking Gaethje. 15 minutes is easy for him, Mo. Don't forget that. Everybody's intimidated about the time. A fighter's biggest fear isn't losing. Our biggest fear is getting exhausted. You reach exhaustion and you can no longer follow the basic rule of protect yourself at all times. Justin Gaethje, 15 minutes, man, that's light work for him.
And Chael, remember when we used to wrestle back in the day about 20 years ago? When we had to face those tough Russians? What did they say? They said, make them work. Get them tired. Now, I think that Gaethje, this fight is meant for him to win or lose. I think it's his to win or lose, man.
Sure.
I really think so.
I agree with that, right? Everybody reaches the tipping point. I just don't believe Gaethje's there. I keep seeing Gaethje, keep thinking it's probably over. The sun is probably set. But that's not what I see, Mo. That's not what I see. I see a guy that's just as driven. I see a guy that's just as hungry, that's got just as good of skills. And I also see an All-American wrestler that never uses his wrestling. And I only bring that to you because the audience is so convinced it's Gaethje's lower leg kick versus the power of Fiziev. Not so fast. It's only that realm, but that's where Gaethje wants it to be. He's got the ability to take him down.
Definitely. Now, we are down to the main event. Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. How does this go down?
I'll tell you this, because it's a little bit of a long answer, okay? People have forgot this is a trilogy. People have forgot they've already fought twice and they split, right? A true trilogy for me does not mean match number 3. It means you split the first 2. Our eyes played tricks on us the night we watched it, and then our memories played tricks on that. Because many people believe that this was a great fight, that this was a back and forth fight. That's how people remember it, and that's not what happened. People even remember it being very competitive, and that Leon had won the first round and took Kamaru's back, and he almost choked him out. Again, you're not quite remembering that right. It was pretty sloppy how they ended up on the ground. It was pretty novel idea to have somebody as skilled as Leon on the back of a dry Kamaru Usman. I mean, that was the greatest hope spot there was. Kamaru survived it, came back, and dominated. He not only dominated physically, he had started to affect Leon mentally. Leon got to a place where he's going, okay, a victory now. Victory isn't leaving with the belt. A victory now is making it all 5 rounds. And Leon began to make deals with himself. Just get through this moment. Now, I only say that because the head kick heard around the world. This was not something that was beautifully set up or stalked down like Pereira versus Adesanya. This was a kick that was thrown and the other guy happened to dip into it. It was a train wreck. And it was a beautiful moment. But if you recall that this was a back and forth battle until the stoppage, you're recalling it wrong. It was a very dominant, one-sided match. As a matter of fact, in the very first round, which is the one people love to bring into it. Well, he almost finished him. He almost had his back. Let me stop you right there. He had his back. He should have finished him. He had him in the absolute worst position Kamaru's ever going to find himself. Kamaru won that battle, and your guy didn't finish him. It was dominant. It was for Kamaru, and he just needs to extend it. Does he need to avoid the head kick? You bet he does. But the only way that this bites him in the ass and that last outcome comes back to haunt itself, the only way is if Kamaru is secretly sitting on something he hasn't told us. If Kamaru is secretly felt something in that match, or if he is secretly so worried he's going to be kicked in the head again, if he's got something like that, which is possible, but aside from that, if you just want the physicality from what we've already seen, Mo, it's not even all that close. It's Kamaru Usman.
Okay. So I agree with you on the pick. But here's the thing. The first round was not the greatest hope spot. There were plenty of hope spots throughout the fight. When I watched the first round, Kamaru took him down early. Edwards fought his way back up. And then in the over and unders, he tripped him and took his back. Actually mounted him, took his back, and then finished strong. The second round, Kamaru walked him down, got a takedown, and beat up on him. Third round, same thing. But there are times in the second and third round where you can see Leon trying to throw knees, trying to throw the home run. It just didn't land because Kamaru was sharp and he was landing his shots. And he's also backing Leon up and throwing punches and bunches. The fourth round, though, Leon took him down and then got reversed. And then Kamaru dominated him. The fifth round, Kamaru took him down, Leon got away. And then each time, Kamaru gave him hope by either not doing enough damage on top or by letting him hang around and letting him throw stuff up. I think Kamaru will put more pressure on him, smother him some more. But if we had these open lapses where they're just out in the middle of the cage doing nothing, that favors Leon. So in order for Kamaru to be effective, he has to eliminate all those little lapses of inaction. The only way there should be lapses of inaction is if Kamaru has him on the cage, foot stomping him, kneeing him, and going for takedowns.
All right, you said something interesting there, which is that Leon got a takedown in the 4th round. I remember that now. I had forgotten that when I gave you my analysis, and that does change things. That means when Dean Thomas was coming over the commentary and telling us that he was fading, it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe he was a little frustrated, but you are right. If he wouldn't got that takedown in the 4th, he hadn't faded, he wasn't gone. And I just think that that's a really important thing. So one thing that we don't know, Mo, we don't know, how was Leon feeling? Was Leon truly defeated? Or did Leon think, no, there's something else, I'm picking my spots, I'm picking my energy, and the same thing goes with Kamaru. Was he out of energy? Like, we don't actually know when we watch that, but they do. They know where their fatigue was at, and they know what they have left, and that's a big intangible that we really don't have access to.
There's one thing that I noticed in the fight that just kind of maybe think twice, 3 times, 4 times. But in the over and under 50-50 position, I felt like Leon Edwards is more dominant in that position. I saw Kamaru, who was a beast back in the day in the 50-50 over and under position. He was a beast in that position. I watched him back out every time they went in that 50-50 position. I've watched Leon Edwards on Instagram. I've watched his brother Fabian. They're really working their ground game, and they're really working their wrestling. Big time. And to see Kamaru Usman back up in the 50-50 position kind of made me think that maybe Leon is stronger than what we see.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a great observation that he was backing out of those positions. It is how he tripped it. It's how he scored the first time. You're going to make me go rewatch this, but I'll tell you this. I am just officially, for our audience and for you and for the sake of today's show, I am for sure and new. I think I really am giving it to Kamaru.
Me too as well. I think that it'll be a lot closer than what people think. I think that it'll be a back and forth battle. And I think that Kamaru's wrestling and his jab and his body work can be the difference in this fight.
All right, Mo. I appreciate you, buddy. Until next time.
All right, Chael. Keep it bad.